Hi, friends. Welcome to the Mastermind Moments podcast.
Hosted by your pals, Josh and Sasha.
Join us during our weekly mastermind as we collaborate on how to make the most out of our lives.
Not only are we going to mastermind our careers, we're going to work on all areas of life together.
Let's do it. Listen in as we make the most of our mastermind moments.
Hi, hello.
Hello. How are you? How are you feeling after your Wintercella experience?
It was a freaking bender. To paint the scene for everybody, it's been 2 weeks since we recorded. Josh has a haircut. He looks like a fresh spring chicken again and does not look like a mop. I went
I
to
told
this.
Savita that you said I look like a mop, and she was so upset about that.
What?
First of all, I said Sasha said not. I said you were suggesting that I should get a buzz cut, and she was like, "That's such a terrible idea. Why is she giving you that advice?" And then I said, "Yeah, well, she said I look like a mop at the moment." She was like, "She loves my long hair," so she was really upset about that.
I don't mean to upset her. You're like, should I get a buzz cut? And I'm like, sure, do whatever you want.
Yeah,
That was not me
no,
suggesting it.
I think this is a happy in between. Like I look smart, but not like a mop, but it's also not too short. So there's a
Yeah,
happy kind of medium here.
it is a happy medium for sure, for sure. Yeah. So Josh looks fresh and clean. Apparently, I'm upsetting his girlfriend. Sorry, Savita. I'm sorry. And I'm in Tampa currently at Dr. Leprechaun's place. Haha.
Mm.
After Wintercella, or Harmonic Haven is the new rebranded name,
Oh, interesting.
which is basically Josh was invited to this, but it's kind of like a group of our friends. My old neighbor from Miami is a DJ. All of his friends are DJs, and it's like a house party meets music and arts festival meets getting snowed in with 50 people, 50 of your friends for 4 days, and it was a bender. It was a bender. And everyone's like, "Where's Josh? Where's Josh? We miss him." You would have had a
Oh,
blast.
stop.
You would have had a blast. The music was incredible. The vibes were really good. There were a lot of substances involved. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not gonna say what on the pod, but I'll tell you
Hmm.
separately. Um, yeah, there was a lot of shit. It's a bender. So right now I'm just like in the come down. It's the week after, emotionally just dealing with everything. And it was really, really fun. Oh, it was oh, sorry, I'm like a mess over here. It was really, really fun, and I'm just in the aftermath right now of dealing with everything.
Hmm. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I want to get into the habit now of saying that I'm good because I've been in such a terrible place for weeks now, and I feel like I'm very slowly starting to come out the other side of it. The last few days, literally the last 2, 3 days. And so whenever people ask me at the moment how I am, which happens a lot naturally in
Yeah.
life, I have really got into the habit of saying, I'm okay, or I'm all right, or I'm not doing too great right now. And it feels weirdly uncomfortable to tell people that I'm actually good, or, because in the past, I'm a firm believer of fake it till you make it, right? And if
Yeah.
you're not feeling good, tell yourself that you're feeling good and tell other people you're feeling good, and the feelings and thoughts will follow, right? But right now that feels really uncomfortable, interestingly. I'm trying to fake it until I make it, and I'm really trying to tell myself that I'm good and tell other people, but it just doesn't feel right. It feels like I've become so comfortable in the negative emotion. It's quite interesting. But yeah, I'm good, is what
You're
I'm trying to
good.
say.
I have a girlfriend who, every time someone asks her how she's doing, she automatically says, "I'm fantastic. I'm amazing. I'm outstanding." Like, she uses really powerful words. And I always say I'm good. I want to get better at like actually saying what the hell I want to do a new habit too, but not even just like just saying good or outstanding or whatever, but like actually just being super honest, being like, "How
Mm,
are you doing?" Today's not the best, or today's outstanding.
uh,
Just getting better at all of that.
Yeah, that's a very Tony Robbins thing, right? If you go to a Tony Robbins event and you go, "How are you? It's good to see you." Everyone goes, "I'm outstanding. I'm phenomenal." It's using that positive language, and it seems quite cringe in the moment, but actually we can do our own versions of that. Saying "I'm outstanding" every time, I think is a little bit far-fetched, but I think my go-to when I'm in a really good place, usually throughout the summer, funnily enough, is
Hmm.
life is good. Life is good. No complaints. I think that's quite a nice way of framing it because I also then think about it afterwards almost every time and I'm like, yeah, my life is really good. This is good about my life and that's good about my life. So I like to say that and maybe I just need to start forcing myself to say it. Um I think I've become so used to trying to maybe I don't know what it is, maybe seek sympathy from people.
Okay.
So when people are asking me how I am and I'm feeling so shitty lately, I want that connection. I want people to sympathize with me and I want people to go, "Oh, you poor thing, how can I help you?" And I get that connection as a result, which is pretty fucked actually saying it out loud. It's not ideal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's I think something I need to shift. But yeah, life is good.
Something, life is good. Life, well, I don't know, man. Life is life.
That's not what I just said.
I'm, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best.
But you did
Maybe it's
also
the
just
come
say
down.
you want to be honest. So yeah, okay, maybe it's the come down. You are, when did you leave? You're literally pretty much completely fresh from the event,
I'm
right?
fresh. I
Yeah.
just flew back. I was on a red eye and I landed yesterday. I have now been at this point like a little over like 24 to 30
Yeah.
hours without a substance in my freaking body.
Wow.
And I don't know, for those 4 days from like Friday through Monday, I might have been sober like 3 hours or less than 5 hours at a time for that whole time. So yeah, it's a come down. It's like a detox right now and dealing with the emotions of all of that and the confusing emotions that I have going on with everything, which we will get into. But anyway, let's spin a wheel. Family. What are your favorite ways to communicate and resolve conflicts within your family? What do you think?
It's really interesting timing. I feel like I say this every time we answer these questions. Like, it's really interesting that you say this now. The universe has a funny way of throwing questions and topics into our lives. I literally yesterday, I was trying to reorder a prescription, and to do that in the UK or in certain doctor's surgeries, you have to apply online. So I had to go online and logged onto my system, and I was just actually, I have some time to kill. I'm just going to browse around the system and see what it's all about. Instead of just going straight for the prescription side of things, why don't
Yeah.
I just see what this is about? And I found a section called patient history, and
Mhm.
I clicked on it, and it's literally going back my entire life, like from the day I was born. It's got every single medical record that's ever be every note, every record, every blood test, every single test of any sort is on this one page. And it was about 30, 40 pages of records. And I was like, it's going to be really interesting just give this a read. Sorry, it sounds like I'm going off on a tangent here, like completely away from the question. And I hope I can
No,
veer back onto the
I know
question.
it's coming. I know it's coming.
So I was reading and I was like, you know what? The most interesting period of my life was when I was a teenager, right? Because I had a lot of psychiatric issues that I went to the doctor for. So I skipped to that point and there were so many different notes about basically my mum taking me into the doctor and saying, I can't deal with him anymore. Like, I cannot deal with him. And there were detailed notes as to what the conversations were that we'd had, the arguments that we'd had. I used to. I used to smash down windows. I used to smash down doors. We would have these big arguments, and there was no resolution. The resolution was that my mum didn't know what to do with me as a teenager.
Yeah.
I think as a result of my troubled teen years, I've really learned and grown from that. And I think the Tony Robbins environment has really helped and all of the self development stuff that I've done myself in terms of kind of conflict resolution and making sure that we bounce back from any argument, because I think the other problem that we used to have, and I think a lot of families have this issue, is we would argue, and until maybe 2, 3 years ago, I would still argue a lot with my mom, and we would literally just forget about it, right? So we would have a massive argument, there'd be doors slammed and whatever, and we'd go to sleep, and the next day we acted like nothing had happened. There was never a resolution,
Mhm.
which I think is terrible. I think that's a really bad way. It's just avoiding matters, and I think
Yeah.
is maybe partly why I've become avoidant in my relationship approach as well these days. But now, in the last, I would say just the last 2 years, we have got to a point where, with my family, with my friends, which doesn't happen so often, but with my partner, there'll be a big argument, and then I make a big point to go and talk about it and say, listen, this is how I felt. I can understand. I think coming from a place of empathy is really important. So understanding why they felt the way they did, why my mum or my dad or whoever it is got upset. But here's my perspective.
Yeah.
So I think empathy first, then giving your perspective, and then coming up with a solution, and making sure, trying to figure out a way that it's not going to happen again. I think that's something I've become really good at in recent years.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. For me, it's boundaries. Really, really strong boundaries. There's a little bit of abuse that I dealt with growing up, and that my family still goes through, that I like have to see, and these patterns come up again and again and again. And the only way that I've been able to maintain relationships with these family members in the healthiest way possible given the circumstances is to have really firm boundaries. If you do setting up beforehand, before I go into a situation that I know could potentially be really harmful, saying if XYZ happens, I'm going to react in ABC way, and just like setting up the expectation of, if these things happen, this is how I'm going to react, and letting them know ahead of time. And something I want to note about setting boundaries is that because you're setting a boundary with somebody, like their knee jerk reaction is that boundary will be tested and resisted by the person who's has a boundary set on them. It'll be tested, it'll be resisted, it'll be challenging to maintain. And it's the best way I found to not even resolve conflicts, but to avoid, not even avoid having them, but to minimize how much they're actually happening, is to just set up clear expectations beforehand. As far as like conflict resolution afterwards, just, yeah, clear communication, empathy, and figuring out solutions is like the best way for conflict resolution in general, but boundaries is definitely where it's at for sure.
100%. Yeah, boundaries are incredibly important, I think, in any relationship, especially if it's a relationship that's caused you pain or trouble in the past.
Mhm.
But I think certainly not limited to those at all. I think you need to set boundaries from the offset, before they can cause you any pain.
Yeah.
Or if you notice that a relationship is heading in a certain direction, it's important to nip that in the bud early on so it doesn't get worse. So, yeah, boundaries, communication in that regard, and communicating those boundaries is essential.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
So I'm getting the feeling from you right now that you, as we've already talked about, have come off the back of a what, 4 day bender, however long it
Uh-huh.
was, and you look, you don't look at, you don't look. That's a bit harsh. You sound, the tone of your voice, like the kind of projection of your voice. If that makes
Yeah.
sense. I've been there before. This looks like a come down to me.
Yeah, it's a come down also mixed with, I literally just got off a therapy session, like 5 minutes, 2 minutes before we jumped on. And my therapist dropped some serious not even harsh, but like some serious truth. And my therapy session completely revolved around this whole situation in my love life right now, which is confusing and complicated. And I'm in a place where, and it's something we've discussed a lot, where I just went through a breakup, and mean to jump into a relationship but this tends to happen where I break up with somebody and then end up in a relationship really soon after. And even though technically on paper, this guy is not my boyfriend, acting like we're in a relationship. We've been talking constantly. We've been seeing each other. We like making plans. Like I'm here at his fucking place right now and dropped him off at work this morning and like I'm whatever. Like we're acting like we're in a relationship. And my therapist last week, he booked me I had a double session last week because I hadn't had one in months. And then last week he's like, you need another double session next week. I'm booking you two. So I had one yesterday and one today. And the first session has always just been recap about what's been happening. And the second session has just been like diving in. And today was the second session. And he presented me with, last week he presented me with these options about what's happening in my love life currently, where it's okay, option one, I cut this relationship, situationship thing off. Option two is I commit to this relationship thing and make it a real relationship. Or option three, we continue on with the status quo where we're acting like we're in a relationship but not doing anything about it. And it's going through all those options. It's like I'm really enjoying being in this thing right now. And I'm really loving being in this thing right now. But it is hurting him because he's ready to commit to me and he's really wants to be in the relationship and is fully in it. And I just promised, I made a commitment to myself to be single for a year, which basically I haven't been. Like I have not been single since I went through the breakup. Let's be real. Like I started talking to Dr. Leprechaun like 2 days after and things got serious a couple weeks after.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that you were not giving me grief about, but like low key giving me grief about when we were talking about him coming with me on my first leg of the trip. And so going through the options, it's like option one, cutting him off, which is I don't want to, and I know it would hurt both of us. I know we would both be really, really sad to not be talking anymore. And we have plans that we've made for the future of this year, like in the next couple months. And not that anything's booked, but it's like things I was looking forward to. And I'd be really, really sad to not talk to him anymore. And I know vice versa. Like it'd be heartbreaking. But we both lose in that situation. Option two, where I actually commit to the relationship, he would be winning and I would be losing because I would end up resenting him for me not having my single year. I would be not honoring a commitment and a promise I made to myself, which would, I think, really damage my relationship with myself. So in a situation where I commit to this fully, I would lose and he would win. And then in the third situation where we keep the status quo about us continuing to talk and make plans and do whatever, I win and he loses. Where it's I get to have my cake and eat it too. I get to be in this kind of relationship thing, but then also get to be single and be with other people. And he's getting hurt. Like he's hurting.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
So
that's kind of what's happening.
have you had, because you say he's hurting, I assume you've had these conversations.
Well, yeah, we've talked about the three options. We haven't really dove into them because we talked about the three options there and we decided that option two, well, this was like a week ago, right? Like option two of committing to a relationship just isn't the right thing right now. And so that leaves us with option one or option three. And
But you're saying,
yeah.
so then he agrees with that? He agrees that diving into a relationship is not the right thing at the moment?
Well, that's what we talked about a week ago, right? Before we saw each other. And then we just saw each other again recently. And I don't know if I'm going to cut this out or not. He literally asked me to marry him. He's in it. Like he's in this relationship. Yeah, like I was not on the fence. I didn't think like it's the right time. But after, like when I see you, everything changes. Like not everything changes, but it's like, what are we doing? Like, why are we not doing this? It's so good. Everything is great. Yeah. So we talked about it, but we haven't talked about this who wins and who loses in every situation kind of vibe.
And from your mind, you have ruled out this committing to the relationship for the time being?
I don't know. Yes and no. I guess not completely because emotionally I feel really committed to this. But it's like emotionally I feel really committed to this. Logically, I'm stopping myself. Logically being like, you made a promise and a commitment to yourself to not get into a relationship. You do one hard thing every year. This year is no freaking boyfriends.
Hmm.
I made one rule for myself. No boyfriends. That's the one rule I made, and I'm already really struggling with it.
Yeah, yeah. I listen. I'm not gonna tell you I told you so. It's a nasty situation to be in, but it
But you
is.
did.
Well, but no, I did. But I think you knew it as well deep down. I think you did know that this was probably the way it was heading. But it's a really tricky situation. It really is, and I think you're absolutely right. You have three options. Three of them are going to have, I don't know if opportunity cost is the right phrase, but I think that
Yeah.
someone is going to end up hurt or opportunity is going to end up being lost as a result. When we were originally talking about this, you were saying about, well, not originally, but a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was your mum that said this about go and do your thing for a year, and if this is still there when you're done with your thing at the end of this year, and you're both ready at that point, then it's meant to be, and you can go ahead with it. But I think for the time, my perspective, my opinion, if you are interested in what I think is the best way forward, is that you end things as they are right now, and you go away. You don't stay anywhere that he could potentially try. I mean, I say that, but then he came to Australia, literally the other side of the world. So, but just go away and do your thing and actually set those boundaries that you were just talking about 10 minutes ago, and allow yourself to go off, and it's going to hurt you and it's going to hurt him. But if this is still there in a year, then it is clearly meant to be, right? In a year, after time away from him, from the relationship situation, whatever you want to call it, ship.
Whatever the hell this thing is.
Exactly. I don't want to put a label on it. If it's still there, then it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion. I think that's another option. I guess that's kind of option one, is it?
Yeah. Option one is cut it off.
Cut it off. But I think, and I was gonna say keep it on the hook and say, listen, if this is still there in a year, then we can give it a go. But I think that's dangerous as well because then you're both gonna be, or certainly he is gonna be holding on to that hope and probably still wanting to reach out and connect, and probably in his mind, I know I've been in this kind of situation before, he'd probably be thinking, why why not now, right? It feels so
Yeah.
right now, so why not now? So it's a really tough one. It's a really tricky situation. And is there a side that you're leaning towards at the moment?
No, because I don't like any of the options.
No. And how likely do you think it is that you would end up resenting him if you were to commit?
I think a lot.
Yeah.
I think a lot because I'd be bending over backwards to I'd be not even bending over backwards, but I'd be giving up a promise and a commitment I made to myself in order to be in this thing. And I think I would resent him for not having my time to be single and me not having my opportunity to explore and do what I want to do and just be open and single and free for a bit, which I already feel happening like every time I go and I'm with somebody else. And like, I'm very honest about it and he knows. So every time that happens, he gets upset. And then I feel myself resenting him even then, just being like, why can't I just do my thing? Like, why can't I just be single? Like, why? I don't like any of the options. So I don't know if I lean one specific way. I want to do option three where we keep the status quo and we keep things the way they are and it's like a situationship and we go through with our plans or whatever. But then I'm being selfish and I'm the bad guy and I'm hurting him. My therapist literally just told me, have you ever been the bad guy before? And I'm like, no. And he's, well, welcome. You're being the bad guy right now.
Yeah.
It's like I love option three where I can have my cake and eat it too, but then I'm hurting him. And
And you're sure of that? You're sure that he can't continue the way that you guys have been going so far?
I don't I don't know. I don't know.
Mm,
Maybe. But then at the same time, as if that my therapist also just said, that's not building a good foundation for a relationship
no, no, it's not.
where it's, yeah, he he might want to continue this way, but then every time I go and hook up with somebody else, he's resenting me
Hmm.
for being like, why this is taking away from how special it is. Why am I not special enough for you to commit to me right now? Like all of this.
Yeah. But he's
Yeah.
also fresh out of a relationship, right?
Mhm. Yeah. He's fresh out of two, basically.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like it's very common, very normal that people jump from relationship to relationship, especially after they get out of a long-term relationship. It's hard. You're not used to being single, you're not used to being alone and not having that life companion, and it's not easy to process, and so it's very normal and very common that people will just bounce into straight into another relationship. The rebound, well, I
Hmm.
guess it's a rebound kind of, it's slightly different to,
Yeah.
I think rebound is used in quite a negative sense, but in this case is this may be a good thing, and it sounds like it is, and you guys sound potentially great together. But I think it's so important that you both allow yourself to process being single, and to process the potential pain that you're not allowing yourself to process. I feel like by jumping straight into another relationship or situationship, you're not going to be able to fully process what happened with your last relationship. And I think it's really important to do that. You can't just deflect. You can't just forget about it. You have to actually allow yourself to process what happened and become okay with it. And that's going to take time. You kind of expected that to have happened after a couple of months. How are you feeling about that at the moment?
I feel okay. I feel okay. We just passed, I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago. We passed like his birthday. We also, this past weekend, we passed what would have been our anniversary, which wasn't as challenging as I thought it was going to be, mainly because I think I was just distracted. There's another piece here that I need to share privately. But I feel okay. Honestly, I think I've said this before, is better memories and they don't make me sad. I can really I like really appreciate them for what they were, and I really appreciate the relationship for what it was. But every once in a while, something comes up or I'm reminded of something and I'm like, oh, that's another way it was messed up. That's another way it was messed up. I didn't see it, but becomes more and more clear to me now.
Hmm.
And I, yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah. Well, I think you need to allow yourself, just like with your grieving your relationship, your past relationship. I think this is going to need time as well, and you're going to need to allow yourself that time and space to process. I don't think it's helpful that you're actually with him right now in his place, because you're not allowing yourself that time to actually be alone, away from what feels like such a great thing right now. Naturally, you're going to be biased in your head while you're there with him. So, how long are you there for?
I haven't booked another flight yet.
Okay.
So, but he's leaving on a trip in 2 days.
Okay.
And he'll be gone for 4 days. But I've been told that I'm welcome to stay, and I do want to explore Tampa, and I've never like really experienced this place. Like I might stay for while he's gone and actually explore the city, and then I would have a couple of days to be by myself, which being by myself in his place might be interesting because
Mm.
is it really solitude if I'm in his energy? Maybe, I don't know.
Mm.
Um,
I'm not sure about that. I think if he's not there, but then I guess there's reminders everywhere of him, and as you say, his energy, I guess, is left all over the place in his
mhm,
apartment. So
mhm.
yeah, I'm not sure. That's a tricky one. I guess you can see, how it goes the first couple of days and make a call off that.
Yeah, yeah. I might. Plus, it's nice to settle somewhere for a little bit. because since the beginning of the year, I have not been in one place for more than 5 nights.
Yeah.
So it might be good to settle somewhere for a little bit at least and just see. So I know the next thing I have for sure is New Orleans. My dad is also going to be in Arizona right before New Orleans. So I might go hang out with my dad for a bit in Arizona before I come back, before I like go to New Orleans. And then after New Orleans, I don't
Okay. And
know.
when is
Yeah,
this?
that's my thing in New Orleans is beginning of March. I'm going to hang
Okay.
out with
So a
our
couple of
pals.
weeks. Okay.
Yeah. And then end of March, I booked. Did I tell you that Alex Cooper, the Call Her Daddy girl, is doing like a spring break thing in Miami?
No, you didn't. No.
No. Okay. So she did that, and it happened to be the same dates as Dr. Leprechaun's birthday thing, which I was invited to, but I was like, it's a sign from the universe that I'm not meant to go, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm meant to go to this spring break thing. So I got tickets for that, which I'm really excited about. I'm trying to find someone to go with me. Um, because I don't really know anyone else who's this into the podcast, but I'm trying to find someone to go with me. And yeah, so I have that end of March. I'm gonna be back in Miami, see my friends, go back to that environment and see how it feels. And then I don't have anything after that. I booked my Burning Man tickets.
I
So
saw. That's exciting.
mhm.
I need
Mhm.
to chase my boss, and I should find out today, tomorrow. So fingers
Okay, cool.
crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, because I have 6 months to plan it, and it's logistically a lot to plan.
Of course.
But yeah, other than that, I have things here and there. I have a wedding in May and European summer and everything like that. But I don't know.
Yeah. So
Um,
you've got a lot, not a huge amount booked in, but a lot of potential plans, which is
s-
good. And I guess it's about logistically figuring that out, which I know is something that you've struggled with in the last couple of months, the stress of the logistics. How are you feeling about that at the moment? Are you embracing the uncertainty or are you struggling with that still?
I'm feeling more and more so better about it. This is the first time I am literally in a leg of a trip and don't have the next thing booked.
Yeah.
And I feel okay about it. I don't know if I feel okay about it because I'm here and trying to figure my shit out with Dr. Leprechaun, or if I'm actually just like getting better at the spontaneity aspect of it all. But I don't really feel, yeah, the logistics of it all, I don't really feel as stressed about it right now,
Hmm.
really.
Well, that's good.
It's good. I don't know. I think this whole thing is eating up so much of my mental space that I'm eating up so much of my mental space that I don't know what to do really.
When you started this year, when you set out on this year, is this how you intended to feel 2 months in?
In what way? Caught up in this whole
Yeah,
situationship?
kind of like as you just said, all of your energy, emotional energy is caught up in this situation at the moment. And is that what you envisioned for yourself at the start of this year? Getting caught up in a, again, whatever you want to call it, relationship, situationship, a man. Is that what you'd hoped for?
I don't know. My intention and mantra for the year has been surrender to the experience.
Mm,
And I was like, okay, well, if this guy is a part of the experience of this year, surrender to what that is. I knew the love life stuff was going to be tricky, and I knew it was going to take up a lot of my headspace. I just didn't expect it to be like this.
hmm.
Like, I expected to be spending more time in grief with my past relationship, just building a roster, which I have. It's a more extensive roster, I guess, and putting more energy into like casually being with people and not committed to something or acting like I'm in a relationship when I'm not. Yeah.
It is hard
But I don't
though.
know.
It's also difficult because it's in our nature. We're human beings, right? And we bond for life. Generally speaking, that's what our brains are trained chemically to do for the most part. And so it's really hard to go into a year or a certain amount of time with the intention of not getting into anything serious when it is in our nature to get into serious things, right? Especially if you've just been in a 7 year relationship, a long term relationship, is what your brain is used to. It
Hmm.
is very much human nature to catch feelings. It's so easy to catch feelings. Even when I went a few years outside of serious relationships, but I caught feelings and I so many times, like deep feelings, and I had some really difficult situations, difficult situationships that killed me. Like it took away so much of my emotional energy. And
Yeah.
even though I'd gone into those few years with the intention of, I just want to fuck around. I don't want to deal with anything serious. It's impossible to avoid a lot of the time. And so going into this year, trying to be single and avoiding feelings like that is always going to be hard. And
Yeah.
I think it's not surprising that this has happened. Maybe it is surprising, or yeah, surprising that it's happened so early on into the year. But then again, going back to the whole rebound thing, maybe it's not so surprising because you got out of a long relationship, so did he, and you found your way to each other very quickly. So
Hmm.
it's complicated. It's complicated.
Complicated. Yeah.
Do you think so? If you go away and you go traveling elsewhere, you're going to New Orleans, if you go to Arizona, you come to Europe in the summer, do you think there's any chance that he would say, I want to come with you to any of these things? And
I know he wants to come with me to a lot of these things. He's like literally booked time off of work for my birthday.
mhm,
He's asked time off of work for a wedding that I have at the end of the month. There's a wedding he has in the middle of May that he wants me to come to. And then he took off more time in June to come to Europe with me. He's like another wedding in Portugal and took off extra time to hang out with me before or after. And then after that, we talked about Burning Man, but we agreed that it'd be better if he did not come so that I could have my own experience there. And
that's also
other and
so far in the future. We're
oh,
talking
I know.
6, 7 months away, right? So it's a long time in the future, and I think to be planning
Yeah.
that far ahead, that says a lot about where his head is
Yeah.
as
That's
well.
what my
So
therapist said too. My
yeah,
therapist is he's making plans with you because it's the best way for him to keep you.
hmm
And it works with my futuristic mind where I'm like making plans. And my therapist also said like my with my life right now in such chaos and how nothing is certain, I'm finding certainty in this situationship and certainty with this man
mm,
instead of certainty with something else, which is fine. I don't know, but yeah, like there are plans that have been not set in stone because nothing's been booked, but plans that have been tossed around for May and June, and we're in February right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So,
I think again thinking that far ahead, and I think it's a good thing that you've both decided seemingly not to book Burning Man, or for him not to book Burning Man. I think that's for the best. I think you should avoid those situations where possible because it's also putting an element of pressure as well on the relationship because if he's booked Burning Man at the end of August, in your mind, well, this is how my mind would work anyway. I would be thinking, well, I have to keep him on the hook until after Burning Man because he's booked it, he's paid for it, he's coming. So it'll be awkward otherwise. I have to keep this going because of that.
and
Almost
that's
like you
exactly
owe
how
him
I feel
something.
about these tentative plans. Not even that I owe him something, but that's how I feel about the tentative plans for May and June, where it's I want to keep things going until then because I want to go through with our plans. I'm excited about them.
Hmm.
And I find myself going there automatically. So I can't cut this off. Not that I want to cut it off. I really don't want to, but I can't because we have plans, even though we haven't booked anything in stone yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, my therapist says that this guy is making plans with me because it's the best way to keep me. And it's the best way to ensure that he's still around, you
Yeah.
know?
I 100% I see that. I see that. I wouldn't say I've done it in past relationships, but there was someone I was seeing, I want to say 2 years ago. The sort of last serious thing that I was in before Savita, not a proper relationship.
Right, I
And
remember.
yeah, and there were certain things that I would book for us. We're talking not that far in advance, but like 2, 3 months down the line. And I think subconsciously, it wasn't very conscious, but subconsciously, I was thinking, right, if I book this now for both of us, I'm booking both of us tickets. She has to come and she has to stick with me because we've got this booked in together. And obviously, that's not the case. And she doesn't owe me anything, and you don't owe him anything. But yeah, I'm sure that's what's going on. And I think it's probably best or probably wise to avoid those situations where possible.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think?
I I've already told you what my personal opinion is on the way that you should go about it, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hurtful for him and for you. It's going to be painful for both of you, definitely. But I do
Mm-hmm.
think that it's best to put an end to it now, and it's gonna hurt because you've become, I'm sure, so used to his presence in your life over the last couple of months, and you enjoy his presence in your life. So it's gonna be painful and it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be hard for you to do as well. But I
Mm-hmm.
think the absolute best thing for both of you right now is to cut this off sooner rather than later. Go about your year, live your life away from him, come back, maybe you can resume. But that's not a conversation to be had with him at this point, and it's not something that you should have in your mind. I think you let life happen, and if life throws that path back into your life in a year, then so be it.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh, but I don't wanna
I know you don't, but okay, so why don't you want to?
because I'm just enjoying it so
Yeah,
much.
I know. Okay. Yeah.
Like I love being in it. Like emotionally I'm in it and like I love being in it. It feels so good and it feels so right and I don't want to cut it off and I know that me not it's like I know status if we keep things status quo like I win, he loses.
Mm.
Yeah. But I can't commit because then he wins, I lose. And then the only way that it's fair is if we both lose by ending it. Something I have to discuss with him. I haven't even fucking talked to him about it yet today.
Yeah, right. Okay, I think that's something that we haven't really spoken about as well. Is you need to fucking talk to him about this. It's all well and
Yeah.
good thinking about it and talking to your therapist about it and talking to me about it, but the only people who can actually iron this out are you and him. And it may
Mm-hmm.
well result in tears from one of you or both of you, but you have to just talk about it and see what he feels right now and what you feel, and express that and actually iron it out together. Because listen, whether this is a serious relationship or not, communication and boundaries, as we literally started this episode discussing, are essential in any relationship.
Yeah.
So you have to do it.
Yeah. I'll have a discussion with him about it. I mean, it's something we've been talking about consistently, but yeah. I just feel like this option of cutting it off is I don't want to say being thrown on me, but it feels like logically it's what I have to do, but emotionally I don't want to and it feels okay, well, my therapist and you have literally been like this is the probably the healthiest thing to do, but I really don't want to is like a whole thing in itself.
Hmm.
But it's also I don't want to make a decision based on I think I need some time for solitude and deep reflection because I don't want to make this decision based on what other people are telling me to do.
No.
I want to make a decision based on what I know is best for me. And I'm also on my period. So it's a really good time to sit and reflect about the whole thing
Hmm.
and figure all of that out.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Because right now I don't have a gut feeling to end it,
No,
but I have to. I think I need to sit in some reflection about it
definitely.
and figure it out because I don't have this instinctual gut feeling to cut it off, which
Yeah,
is something I want to honor. But I don't know. Maybe that's because I'm having my cake and eating it too. I'm not sure.
possibly. But I think, yeah, reflection. solo reflection, but also communication. Those are the two most important first steps, I would say. First two steps,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll be hopefully in a better slash more informed position to actually make a decision and actually
Yeah.
take action.
Yeah. Completely. Anyway, enough about me, because we'll be going in circles about this, and we will be going in circles about this when I send you some voice messages about all the other stuff that's
Yeah,
been
you're gonna
happening.
you're gonna drop a couple of bombs in private now, and it's gonna completely change my opinion.
Yeah, it's very possible. It's
Okay.
so what's happening with you, fresh spring chicken? You said you've been better the last couple of days. What's been happening?
Well, I'll tell you what's been happening the last couple of days. The sun came out. So honestly, like the difference in my mood, in my energy, I was talking to Savita a couple of days about this, about how during the winter, when it's grey skies, it's cold, it's rainy, I just don't want to go out. Like I'm canceling social plans, which is not like me at all. I don't do that. I
Yeah.
don't want to go out to even play football. I've been doing that weekly and I've stopped organizing that the last couple of weeks because I just don't want to go out. I don't want to face it. Um, and then I was saying to Savita, do you think that when the sun comes out, when the weather's better, is that going to change things for me? Do you think I'll actually get better and actually want to go out and see people? Is it just the weather or am I actually just changing as a person? The weather gets better and suddenly I want to go out and see people and I so it's yeah, it makes a huge difference. And so the weather's got better. I've also had a little bit of potentially good news a couple of days ago. So I randomly, just completely randomly applied for a bunch of jobs about 2 weeks ago. Didn't really think much of it. Didn't really hold out much hope for any of the jobs. One of them, interestingly enough, was to become a pilot. So that's been interesting. There's like a pilot academy that British Airways does, and
Okay.
they only have 100 spaces because it's specifically for people who didn't necessarily go to university, who wouldn't usually have the opportunity to become a pilot. So they have 100 spaces a year on this academy, and it's super super hard to get into. But I thought I'll apply. Why not? The applications are open. It could be interesting. It could be fun. I love to travel. I love planes. So I applied and I've got through the first four stages of the process. There's two more
Okay.
assessments that I have to go through and then an interview. So it's a pretty rigorous process, but I'm doing well so far. Um, so that's one thing, which I'm just
Okay.
doing it kind of like as a little hobby at the moment because the assessments are quite challenging and fun. They're like maths assessments and that kind of thing. Um, so we'll see where that goes. But more interestingly, one of the jobs I applied for was we in the UK we don't have Zillow. There's a couple of equivalents, one of them being Zoopla, and I've applied for a job with them. Now, before I took my current job, I was offered a job at Zoopla as well, but it was
Right. I
just
remember.
do you remember? Yeah, it was just a 6 month
Yeah.
contract at the time. So I wasn't keen on committing to a job where there's no job security and no longevity. So I was just browsing and I found this job that came up, which is a permanent position and is basically doing what I'm doing at the moment, but the bit that I enjoy. So less hard sales and more account management, basically. The salary is significantly is about 25% more than what I'm making at the moment, so a huge pay rise. The earning potential is huge, the benefits are incredible. Like the started to think yesterday because they replied to me yesterday and invited me for an interview and explained the process to me, and there's two different interviews that I'd have to go through.
Yeah.
And I know that if I commit myself to this, 100% I'll get the job, 100%. So I've been
Yeah.
debating, is this the right thing for me? Would this be a sideways move? Obviously, I'd be getting a pay rise, but then the commission potential is probably better in my current job. So is this the right move? And I was thinking then about what do I hate about my current position? And the first thing is the money. I don't feel like I earn enough. So that's a major pro of this new potential job. The other thing is the lack of flexibility with working hours, where I work, how many holidays I work,
Mm-hmm.
or how many holidays I get per year. And it's not enough. Whereas with the new company, there's, I think, 2 or 3 more days. So not a huge amount, but they're also closed over the Christmas period. So that makes a big difference. That's basically an extra 2 weeks of holiday automatically. So I've got myself really excited about this job, and I've got my first interview on Tuesday.
Okay.
So see how that goes. I'll smash it. I interview very well. I'm really good at talking to recruiters and hiring people. So that's on Tuesday. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I also know that if I now don't get the job, I will be fucking devastated because I've hyped myself up for it so much. Like I've got myself so excited.
Yeah.
Um, but then part of me as well is also questioning whether it's the right thing because I've been saying for a long time now, my next job, it won't be a job, it will be a business. And is this going against what my heart really wants because it's an easier option? Um, is this just delaying me actually pursuing what I really want in my life? I don't know. I don't know. And that's something I really have to ask myself. I think what I keep telling myself is that there is no harm in at least going for the job and at least starting the job. And then if there is as much flexibility as I think there is with this new job, then I can always be hustling alongside it while earning more money than I am now to support my current lifestyle.
Right.
What's the difference between staying at this job and pursuing a potential business or side hustles and moving to that job and pursuing potential business and side hustles? Actually, the difference is that I'm making a lot more money in doing so while I'm waiting for that. So there's a lot to think about, but I'm pretty excited about the potential opportunity there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'd say with both opportunities, do your best, which is easier said than done. This our girlfriend Katie, who was on episode 16, she has this thing where she calls it future tripping, where you and I'm so guilty of doing this for everything in my life, but almost playing out every scenario as if it's happening and then jumping to what's happening before it actually happens. So I wouldn't even evaluate what's a good option until you have the offers on the table from each place. I wouldn't be surprised if both offers came in around the same time because that's typically what happens is the universe is just, here are all your choices. Here you
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
I wouldn't even I would not even start evaluating pros and cons and options until the offers are on the table. And as far as like the entrepreneurship thing goes, the thing about entrepreneurship is that it's a lot of, and you know this because you started businesses before, it's a lot of self imposed deadlines. It's a lot of work before things actually get up and running. And finances are something that's really important to you. Personally, my my wisdom would be to go the route that you're going where it's have something that pays your bills and then pursue entrepreneurship on the side until it makes enough revenue to pop over and do that full time.
yeah.
Just because like financial security is something that's important to you and it's the same thing I'm doing. I love my 9 to 5. I love working on my team. Do I want to do it forever? No. But right now it enables me to live my life and to do what I want to do and I almost suggest going something more along that route and
Yeah.
rather than going entrepreneurship fully because you do have bills to pay, like you do have things to get done. So
No, exactly.
that's
Yeah.
where I would lean.
When you referenced the episode with Katie, and on that episode we talked about how at the time I was debating whether or not I should stay at my job, if you remember, and I think handed in my notice, but I was questioning whether it was the right thing. And
Yeah.
my plan then was in those 2 months between handing in my notice and leaving the job was to start side hustling hard and then do it full time, right? Even if I'm
Yeah.
making very little money. But that was never really going to work. So you're right. I do have bills. I do have a lot of overheads at the moment that I have to cover. And I unfortunately, at this point in my life, I'm not in a position where I could just drop everything to go and focus on a side hustle. You know, right now I do need a job where I can pay the bills and then some, and then I can focus on other things with the remaining energy and time that I have. The important thing for me is that I actually do that and I actually take action. I start waking up earlier or using the time when I'm not working on my actual day job to work on a side hustle. I think it's really important that I actually do that, and that it scares me that I won't do that. But I'm in a far better position moving to this other job where I'd be earning a lot more money with potentially more time freedom and location freedom. It seems like a better place to be doing this while I bide my time and work on other things. I think that's probably my answer. But also, you're absolutely right about the what did you call it? What Katie says, the
Future tripping?
future tripping. I literally, this email came through yesterday inviting me for an interview, and I got so fucking excited, so excited, and then I started to think, wait, why am I thinking about this in this detail now? I was getting so stressed in my head thinking, should I change job? Is this the right thing? They haven't even offered me the fucking job. I haven't even done my first interview. Like, why am I getting so caught up and excited about this? Because A, I'm going to be so disappointed if it doesn't come through. And B, like, why am I wasting my energy on this right now? So yeah, that's something that I think I just need to let myself go through the process with both of these jobs. With the pilot job, there's such a slim chance that I'm going to get that. So there's thousands, tens of thousands of applications, only 100 people get it. God, I'm not even considering that at the moment as an option. Right now, my option, well, I don't even have that as an option, but I was going to say my option is moving to Zoopla or keep staying on my current job. But if the pilot thing came into the equation, then God, I'd have a decision to make. But I don't
Right.
right now, so there's nothing to worry about.
You have no zero decisions to make right now. So I wouldn't even start future tripping about what decisions you're going to make until you have the offers on the table. And again, easier said than done because we all know I future trip over everything. You see it happening right now with my current situationship. Like I'm future tripping over that too. So it's easier said than done, but I feel like a lot of times we get caught up in thinking about well, maybe this is just me, but thinking about every different scenario, both positive and negative, about how things are going to go, and it really messes with your mind sometimes
Yeah.
of before you even have the option, you're future tripping about every which case scenario. And it's sometimes it's like a waste of energy to
hmm
go and do that when like you don't even get the option to choose in the first place.
All it does though is
So
cause anxiety and disappointment potentially, and of course it can work out, but it's actually a waste of energy in the moment.
hmm yeah, it really is. It really is. So I actually got a voice message. So are you ready?
Yeah.
We're bringing back a segment that has been requested, and we're bringing it back right now. We're gonna help mastermind something in y'all's life.
Two aspects of the wheel of life that are currently going on for me are physical health and fun. For context, I'm 33 and taking a career break and I'm traveling for a gap year. So we think not being under constant work stress and pressure and not being attached to my screen or phone 24/7 is contributing to my physical health in a really meaningful way without trying too hard, honestly. It's been really great to move my body as much as I have and definitely fun. I would say spontaneity is something I struggle with in my normal life, but again, just being in this unique space, I've had a lot of opportunities to lean into spontaneity and to really be my most fun self. And it's been really wonderful to tap into that side of me. One area where that isn't, I wouldn't say isn't going well, but I'm definitely not contributing the way I usually do is contributions. I think we as adults, especially American adults, tie a lot of our self worth to productivity. So, not being productive in the conventional sense makes me think I'm not contributing I'm not adding value, but I am just in ways that society doesn't necessarily value. I'm reading a lot for myself. I'm doing a lot of writing. I'm making connections with people and really trying to leave each place better than I found it. So I think, while it feels like it's not going well, it is because I'm able to provide contributions outside of what I conventionally am able to do.
What do you think?
Yeah, as I feel maybe you actually suffer from this issue too, or have done in the past anyway, whereby you feel like you're not doing enough in certain areas and you feel like certain things aren't quite ticking, but actually when you take a step back and look at it, you are doing enough and you're maybe not seeing the results, or you have these expectations. Expectations are the worst thing in the world. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but they are not good for your health and for your mentality, because you go in thinking, right, okay, this is what needs to happen. This is what I should be doing in order to meet my criteria to be a 10 in this area, in this area, in this area. And when it doesn't happen the way you're expecting it to, it may be that you're doing amazing things in other areas, but because it didn't go exactly how you wanted it to, it's not, you don't feel good about it. And it sounds like
Yeah.
that's what's happening there. And so I think getting rid of those expectations and allowing yourself to actually take a step back, look at what you're doing and go, wow, yeah, actually, you know what? I am doing shit. I am getting things done and I am making moves in this area and this area. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, it's that whole shift, and it's that like super famous Tony Robbins quote where it's if you trade your expectations for appreciation, your whole world opens up. And I think that's what needs to happen now with our friend Emily, is that yeah, like she has all these really intense high expectations of herself, even though she's killing it. And I would also define what contribution means to her, right? Like in our sense of the word, contribution means community service. But for her, I think it means probably like adding value to someone or something, which she's definitely doing. And when she takes a step back and looks at it, she's, oh, okay, like I am doing that. That's cool. Um, and yeah, I think like taking a step back and zooming out, because sometimes we live so in our own stuff that we can't appreciate and we can't fully see all the good we are doing. And it sounds like she is also exceptionally hard on herself, like I am.
Exactly. But I think there's a pretty easy fix, and it's hard to shift that mentality. But I think it is about redefining, as you said, about what contribution means to you, but also getting rid of those expectations. I think it's defining contribution without expectations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, you guys, send in some voice messages. We want to start masterminding. We bringing this segment back because the people love it. And we'll catch you guys next week on Mastermind Moments.
See you next week.
Bye. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow along on social media.
If you would like us to help you mastermind something in your life, please send us a message.
We'll see you next week on the Mastermind Moments podcast.